when I was a young man, let us say from the age of 14, 15 there, when I started learning music, I made up my mind that one day I will be a very famous musician. So I had that plan myself now. I was planning that one day I might become a very famous musician, playing the piano, and even thinking that I might direct an orchestra. So this was my dream now. This was actually my own plan in my mind. And so when I was 20 years of age, after fulfilling my national service in the army, in our country is compulsory, the national service in the army. So I went to the army, and then after that I decided to go and start my studies in music in the famous College of Holy Trinity in London. And I became a student. I was having my daily lessons in piano, and I was progressing. I was very happy. And finally, I met some of my compatriots there, and I was asking them in those days, do you know any spiritual father here in England? Because myself, I want to have one, to go and speak to him, to ask for confession. So my compatriots, they told me that there is one Russian, very famous confessor, where ourselves we are going every weekend. And we are going there for the weekend, and we are participating during the evening services, during the night, which was for me something very unusual. I have not seen it before in my life. The Composini, the Jesus prayer, which they were done in that monastery. So I was taken there. And finally, they introduced me to my future father confessor, who was then, as known, Father Sophrony Zakharov, very well known, of course, in those families, Cypriot families. And so I went for a confession to him. And my first, actually, I remember it very well, the first question Father Sophrony asked me was, what are you doing here in England? Why you have come all the way from Cyprus and you are now here in England? I told him I am here because I want to become a musician. This is what I have in my mind. And of course, speaking to him, I saw his face, and I saw also the movement which he did. He did like this, shaking his head like that, and telling me that it's a good idea. I myself, I began my career as an artist in Paris. And I love very much people who are interested in artists. I mean, to become a musician, to become an artist, drawing, etc. I have nothing against them, those who are following this kind of life, but for you, I feel that God has another plan. So this was my first acquaintance with him. I was somehow very much surprised, or even I was shocked, because he was telling me that God had another plan. There is another plan from God. I could not understand. I was very young, and I knew nothing about the plan of God. I was not aware of such things. So I reacted very negatively by telling him that no, I myself, I will become a musician. Nobody can change my plans. Again, he did this. And I left him there. So coming every week and for confession every week, we were following the Russian style, Before you receive the Holy Communion, you have to go for confession. So I was doing it. And the father, confessor, Saint Sophronius now, he was reminding me whether I thought about his idea that God is planning something else for you. So after some time, I thought that why he is insisting so much to follow that plan of God. Perhaps he knows something. So I decided to ask him, and what is the plan of God? Yes, you have been telling me every week that God has another plan. And finally I decided to ask you, what is the plan of God about my future life? And he answered to me by saying that God really is preparing you to become a good theologian, Orthodox theologian. So you can imagine now my reaction. So I stood up and I said to him, you mean from musician, I am planning myself to be a musician. Now God is planning for me to become a theologian. Impossible. That shows that I was completely naive myself, without knowing that I was talking to a holy man who already, he knew what will be my life. I'm sure because he insisted so much. So I went again, and I was bringing those moments in my mind, thinking that perhaps he's right. Why he's insisting so much? Perhaps he knows something, and I decided to go and tell him that now myself I am ready to follow that plan of God. So tell me what to do. So I went back to him, and he immediately told me that, we have a Russian theological institute in Paris, where myself, I was a student after the revolution, which theological institute, was established by the Russians, those who left Russia after the revolution, and it is a good place. And the professors who are there are still alive from those years, and they are very, very good professors. And I am planning next year to send a number of my monks from the monastery here. 3 of them, or 4, are going to study there. So perhaps it is the right time also for you to follow them, to be with them. So then I said to him, okay, I will prepare myself and I will go with them. So all of us, we went, without knowing, of course, who is who, and who will become in the future. And at the end, one of the monks, by then he was a deacon himself, he became actually the successor of Father Sophroni. When the father, became very old, he took over the administration of the monastery in Essex. And Deacon Raphael, who was a Romanian, he became, and he is today, a very famous starets, spiritual father in Romania, Father Raphael Noica, who is the son of one of the famous professors of philosophy in Romania in those days, because Romania also was under the communism, and he's there, I know, and he's a very famous father, starets, as they say in Russian. And the other one was a layman, my compatriot from Cyprus, Father Zacharias. And Father Zacharias also is a very famous spiritual father all over the world. He has written so many books, and he's well known, and he's traveling a lot to meet his spiritual children, and at the same time to give lectures to the people in different countries. So here we are. We left the monastery, all of us. We went to the Russian Theological Seminary, and I was trying to explain to Father Sophroni that it will be very difficult for me to study, because I don't know Russian, and all the professors are Russians, so they will be teaching us in Russian language. I think it will be very difficult for me, because I know nothing about Russian language. But then he described in this way the situation that because of my young age, I will be able to learn very easily the language. So I finally accepted his idea, and I went. And it was exactly, because when we first went there for the first term now, we were doing the Russian language every day. We had a teacher, a very nice teacher of Russian language. He was the wife of a Russian professor of the New Testament. So when we went back to the monastery, after finishing the first term, Father was trying to see how much I know. And of course, he was very happy that at least I was able to make a simple conversation with him in Russian. You see, so he told me, you see, I told you, because you are a young man, you will be able to learn the language very easily. So that was, of course, also for me something new in my life, and I have to say that that Russian language assisted me in my future life so much, because I became a regular visitor of the Soviet Union. In those days, I was visiting, I was very excited, because I was able to communicate directly with the people. And of course, there were other instances in my life which assisted me to meet all the future patriarchs of Moscow.